Reddit, I need your judgment. For 8 months, I built a future I thought was mine. Painting a nursery the color of sea glass, reading children's books to a belly that kicked back, promising everyone I'd be the dad who showed up. One midnight buzz on her phone cracked that world open, and what spilled out hasn't stopped burning. It started as a mosquito in the dark one vibration, then another, then a string of tiny earthquakes on the nightstand. My wife, Lila, slept on her side, curled around the pregnancy pillow like a question mark. I watched the glow bleed across the ceiling and told myself to let it go. Then it buzzed again. I knew her passcode, our dog's birthday, because we never hid things. Or I thought we didn't. The thread wasn't in messages. It was in an app I didn't recognize, a slick charcoal icon with a name that sounded like a gym. Vault. The preview showed a number, not a name. Can't stop thinking about last weekend. You're unreal. My throat clicked dry. I opened the thread and scrolled. Weeks of flirty texts, inside jokes that didn't belong to me, blurry mirror selfies from hotel bathrooms I'd never seen. Nothing explicit, just enough to make the room tilt. Lila murmured in her sleep and reached for me, palm warm on my forearm. One of those unconscious touches you can't fake. The tenderness collided hard with the messages. For a stupid second, I tried to believe there was some explanation. Spam, a wrong number, a cruel prank. But the timestamps lined up with nights she said she was at prenatal yoga or late work check-ins. I set the phone down like a loaded glass and stared at the ceiling fan carving shadows. Between one rotation and the next, a version of my life ended. I didn't sleep. I listened to the radiator tick and counted lies. I made Lila decaf the way she likes almond milk first so it doesn't curdle, because muscle memory outruns shock. She patted in wearing my college hoodie, kissed my cheek, and asked if I'd thought more about names. Elias if it's a boy, she said, teeth flashing. My brain threw up the text like a slideshow. I nodded and asked if she wanted toast. The performance continued. She laughed when the baby rolled, showed me a Pinterest board of neutral nurseries, reminded me to assemble the monitor. I watched her the way you watch a magician, desperate to catch the sleight. She was good. Too good. That scared me more than the buzzing phone. At lunch, I went to the garage, sat in the parked car, and let the quiet swallow me. I called my sister Mara because she's the person you call when you need the truth with a side of first aid. I told her about the app, the texts, the hotel mirrors. She didn't gasp. She said, "Do you want the truth or do you want to be okay for another week?" I said I wanted the truth. "Then don't confront on feelings. Confront on facts," she said. "Screenshots, times, places. Otherwise, she'll make you feel crazy." When I walked back in, Lila was packing her tote for a prenatal massage after work. Lavender oil, comfy leggings, the whole spa commercial. I smiled, kissed her temple, and felt my heart banging like a bad drummer. That night, the house would be quiet, and I would start counting. Cheaters don't hide everything. They hide what they think you'll check. Lila had scrubbed her Instagram before we got married, said social media made her anxious. I believed her. That afternoon, I used an old Gmail to make a burner and searched combinations of her nicknames. Nothing. Then I tried the baby nickname we used when we were alone. Bean. A handle popped up. Bloom. And Bean private, no face. Bio full of leaves and hearts. The grid preview showed muted beige squares, the aesthetic of honesty. I requested follow and got nothing. But one post was tagged at a boutique hotel 15 minutes from our house. I checked our calendar. That night she'd stayed late for board numbers. The hotel's public feed had a story highlight from that week, clinking glasses in the lobby bar, a mirror selfie in the elevator, the kind of content people post to say, "I'm living." In the elevator shot, reflected at an angle, was a guy's shoulder and the corner of his jaw. Not mine. I screenshotted everything like a person saving receipts for taxes. I dug further. Our car's app had a trip log we never used. I learned the interface in 10 minutes, teeth clenched. The Tuesday prenatal yoga was a 39-minute drive to a townhouse complex across town and 3 hours parked. Another night, a 17-minute hop to the same hotel and a 4-hour stay. I felt my scalp prickle the way it does right before you cry or fight. I emailed myself the screenshots with subject lines like, Evidence 1. Mara texted, You okay? I typed and deleted 6 versions of no. Instead, I sent her a location pin and wrote, If I send you a yes-no question later, don't ask anything. Just answer. She replied with a skull emoji and a heart. That combination somehow made me feel less alone. I told myself not to confront until I had something irrefutable, but self-control leaks at night. When Lila came home from her massage, smelling faintly like wine in a way lavender could not hide, I lost the script. We were in the kitchen. The lamplight made a buttery pool on the table. I said, Who's using the Vault app to tell you you're unreal? I kept my voice level. She blinked, then tilted her head like a teacher indulging a student. What? She said. Babe, what are you even talking about? I told her about the buzzes, the hotel tag, the car logs. She laughed, not guilt laugh, but your adorable laugh. You know how paranoid you sound? She said. Vaults for backing up photos. And the hotel? Lindsay and I used the bathroom during a charity event. You're being weird. She used the word weird like a scalpel. I showed her the elevator reflection. She said, That could be anyone. I showed her the car trips. I went to visit Kelsey from birthing class. She's on bed rest, she said smoothly, already tapping her phone. Want to call her? The casual confidence made my stomach drop. If she was lying, she'd rehearsed. If she was telling the truth, I was poisoning our house with suspicion. Stress isn't good for the baby, she added, softer, stroking her belly like a shield. If you're feeling anxious, say that. Don't invent conspiracies. The words landed like a sedative and a slap. I mumbled an apology I didn't believe and went upstairs. In the bathroom, I braced my hands on the counter until my knuckles blanched. I texted Mara one word, Yes? She replied instantly, Yes. Keep collecting. I breathed out through my teeth and looked at myself in the mirror. The guy staring back looked like a husband, a father-to-be. He did not look like someone about to become a detective. Mara came over to borrow the steam mop, which is our code for I'm coming to check on you without making it a thing. She put the kettle on like she owned the kitchen and listened while I laid out screenshots, trip logs, and my spaghetti plate thoughts. Okay, she said finally, tapping each printout with a red nail. You have patterns, but not proof. Patterns can be explained. Proof can't. She drew a line down a legal pad and wrote, Facts on one side, stories on the other. Lindsay in the hotel bathroom? Story. Car parked at a townhouse? Story. The app named Vault? Story. We need facts. Who, where, when, and if she'll risk lying when confronted with something she can't wriggle around. She suggested a soft tale. Not me, not Mara, but tech. You share the car, she said. Use the built-in. Also, she's not hiding from apps. She's hiding from you. So stop making it about you. Pretend you're auditing a company that's embezzling time. That night, Lila said she had a board meeting running late and would Uber home. I smiled and asked if she wanted leftovers kept warm. As soon as she left, I opened the automaker's portal and turned on trip notifications I didn't know existed. Pings began to arrive like sonar. 6:15. Vehicle in motion. 6:32. Vehicle parked Bayview Townhomes. My scalp tingled again. I texted Mara, our code. Yes. And she responded with a location share. She was already on the highway. Don't follow, she wrote. If you catch it with your eyes, you'll show your heart. I stayed at the table and watched the little gray breadboard of an app light up my life in coordinates. At 8:47 p.m., the car started again. At 9:04, it parked 2 streets away. Lila walked in at 9:12 with a paper cup of mint tea and a practiced sigh. Board was brutal, she said. She kissed my forehead. I tasted chamomile and something else, something metallic, the aftertaste of a story about to break. I didn't sleep. At dawn, I drafted an email to myself with the trip log CSV attached. Timestamps, addresses, durations, all neat as a ledger. I printed it and stuck it inside a novel on my nightstand. The next evening, Lila announced a prenatal class switch. Her instructor moved sessions to Thursdays. I said I'd make lasagna, plenty of leftovers. At 5:56 p.m., the car left the driveway. At 6:21, it parked at Bayview again. I called Mara on speaker and set the phone on the counter. "You ready?" she said. "For what?" "For fact," she said, and hung up. At 7:05, a notification appeared I hadn't seen before. Door opened. That meant someone accessed the car while it was idle, one of those proximity locks. At 7:07, door closed. At 7:08, a short movement 30 yards and park again. I opened the satellite view. The dot had shifted from the curb to a detached garage behind the units. Private. Discreet. My stomach heaved. I screen recorded the live map, narrating date and time like a crime podcaster, feeling ridiculous and deadly serious at once. At 8:41, the car started. At 8:59, it stopped 2 blocks from home. Lila came in smelling like dryer sheets and hotel air. She rubbed her lower back theatrically. "Can you heat the lasagna?" she asked. I did, and set the plate down quietly. She winced when she sat microsecond pain like someone who'd overextended, not in yoga. Later, when she showered, I opened her phone. Not the passcode one, the Face ID one she'd recently set up. We'd registered my face too during one of those cute couple privacy moments. Vault required a thumbprint now. But notifications preview still showed a message banner. "Miss you already." The sender's initials were NR. The name was ghosted by privacy settings. I didn't screenshot. I didn't need to. I closed the phone and stared at the bathroom steam crawling under the door like fog. The trap wasn't for her anymore. It was for me. I knew enough to know I had to know everything. Before last month, the idea of testing a baby before it was born felt grotesque, some tabloid nightmare. Now it felt like a life raft. I spent a morning on hold with a clinic that offered non-invasive prenatal paternity. The counselor's voice was gentle in the way people are when they suspect a person on the other end might be bleeding. "We'll need a maternal DNA sample and the alleged father's," she said. "You can bring her in." I said I couldn't. She paused, then said, "We also accept belongings that may contain maternal DNA-used straws, toothbrushes. We can't guarantee chain of custody, but the science is solid." I brought a paper bag with a smoothie straw, a floss pick from the bathroom trash, and my own saliva swabbed by a nurse who didn't look away. "Results in 7 to 10 business days," she said. I walked back to the car feeling both villain and victim, both investigator and the accused. Those days stretched like wire. Lila asked if I'd felt the baby kick our word. I put my palm on her stomach, and the flutter against my skin was so intimate, I almost apologized to the universe for everything. Then I remembered the garage coordinates, and my apology turned to granite. I started sleeping on the couch, because your pregnancy pillow is hogging the bed, and she made a joke about me being the dramatic one. The email arrived on a Tuesday afternoon while I was in a budget meeting. The subject line was curt. "Confidential results available." I excused myself, pretended to take a call, and locked myself in a stairwell that smelled like wet concrete. The PDF was one page with a miracle and a guillotine in 12-point font. Probability of paternity, 0. E0. I slid down the wall until my knees hit my chest. I didn't cry. I hollowed. Something stepped out of me and left a shape behind. In the echo of the stairwell, I heard my own breath like a stranger's and thought, this is the moment my life splits into before and after. I printed the result and waited at the kitchen island with 2 mugs, hers with the chipped handle she calls lucky, mine with a crack that never leaks. When Lila came in, she went straight for the fridge. I said her name and she turned with a guilty start that almost counted as honesty. I slid the paper across the counter. She frowned, eyes skimming, then recoiled like the letters burned. "What is this?" she whispered. "Fact," I said. Her mouth opened and closed, trying on stories. Then the tears. Instant, cinematic. "I didn't mean for any of this," she sobbed. "Nathan said he'd leave his wife. He said—" My brain caught on the name like Velcro. Nathan. N.R. The initials went solid. She kept talking. When I told him about the baby, he panicked. He said he needed time. I panicked too. You're better. You're good. I thought maybe we could be a family anyway. You wanted me as a plan B with a nursery, I said, calm in a way that scared me. She reached for my wrist. I stepped back. He's a good man, she said, meaning me. You will be such a good father. To whose child? I asked. She flinched. I love you, she said. It sounded like a spell she hoped would work. We can make this work. People raise children all the time who aren't. She stopped short of biological, like the word itself had teeth. I slid the elevator screenshot and the car logs beside the DNA result. Gaslighting won't help you anymore, I said. You can tell the truth now, or you can tell it in court. Something hardened in her expression, a door closing. The crying stopped. You're cruel, she said softly. You'd abandon an innocent baby? No, I said. I'm refusing to be a prop in your story. The quiet after that was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. We separated in 48 hours with the efficiency of people dividing furniture after a flood. She took the maternity clothes, the framed sonogram, the curated stack of pregnancy books. I kept the crib I'd assembled, then disassembled, because I couldn't stand the thought of it in her new place. My mother called after Lila told her a version with soft edges. I told Mom the hard version. She went quiet in that particular way mothers go quiet when they're imagining you as a little boy again. Come home, she said. I didn't. I stayed in the house like a guard sitting up with a body. Nathan reached out once, an email from a corporate address with no subject. I'm sorry for the pain this caused. Please don't contact my employer. I stared at the sentence until the pixels swam. I replied with one attachment, the paternity result. No words. He never wrote again. There were logistics, a lawyer. A second lab test ordered by her attorney that came back the same. Withdrawal of a child support petition increasingly misdirected at me. HR whispered, neighbors speculated, friends divided into those who offered casseroles and those who offered silence. I learned that betrayal doesn't end. It sediments. It shows up in small ways. The way you check your phone battery at night, the way you don't believe compliments, the way you flinch when a car map pings for any reason. One afternoon, I found an envelope with no return address. Inside was a photo, a newborn with stormy eyes and a wrinkled fist. On the back, in Lila's looping script, he calms when you play your guitar. I put the picture in a drawer and shut it. I don't know if that was an act of kindness or cruelty, hers, mine, or both. 6 months later, the house is different. The nursery is a reading room with plants that don't judge me. I see a therapist who tells me grief is love with nowhere to go, and that trust isn't a light switch but a dimmer. Sometimes I wake at 3 a.m. and feel a small weight on my chest, a memory of a future that won't happen. I breathe through it. Sometimes I play the guitar and stop when my fingers start forming lullabies by habit. Mara drags me on hikes. We talk about nothing for miles, and then everything in 10 minutes. She says I'm allowed to want fatherhood later with someone who can stand in the truth. I say I'm afraid I'll look for signs in every shadow. She says, good. Shadows are where you find shape. Lila sent one last message through her lawyer. A proposal for me to be involved in a meaningful but flexible capacity. I declined with a sentence that took 2 days to craft. I'm not the father. I wish your son love and safety. I meant it. That startled me. The fact that love can outlast a relationship and still not require participation. Here's the part I didn't expect. I don't feel ruined. Bent, yes. Different metal, maybe. But not ruined. I'm learning that leaving isn't failure. Sometimes it's stewardship of your future self, of the kids you might actually have someday, of a heart that still wants to give instead of guard. If you're reading this because your nightstand lit up and you're scared to look, here's my only advice. Collect facts, keep your dignity, and let the truth do its work. It will hurt. Then it will heal. And one quiet morning, you'll realize you're choosing paint colors again. Not for a nursery you were tricked into, but for a life that finally belongs to you.